Stardust Crusaders, the third installment of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, is many people's first introduction to the series. Part 3 marked the pivot point of the series, moving away from Hamon and towards the concept of stands. With the introduction of stands in Part 3, we're also introduced to the best and most badass protagonist, Kujo Qtaro. Hello everyone, I'm Wong Diggity, and in this video, we'll talk about the early life of everyone's favorite JoJo, Kujo Qtaro, focusing mainly on the events of Part 3. Kujo Qtaro is a JoJo of Part 3 as well as a protagonist of Parts 4 and 6. We will begin with the story of his youth, covered mainly by the events in Stardust Crusaders. Qtaro was born in 1970 to Holly Joestar and Kujo Sadao. His grandfather is Joseph Joestar, thus making him part of the Joestar bloodline. He was a sweet child and had a good temperament growing up. Being the only child, Qtaro has a loving relationship with both his mother and father. Holly and Sadao loved their son very much, so they were always there for him when he was growing up. Qtaro, having been brought up mainly by Holly, has a better relationship with his mother than his father. Even as a child, Qtaro was told by Holly to always help those in need and that his good deeds will one day be rewarded. He loves and respects his mother very much, so he listens to everything she says. That is why, when Holly was stricken by a mysterious illness, Qtaro would do anything to save her life. In his anger and grief, he was able to awaken the legendary Super Saiyan state. Wait, sorry, that's a different character. I meant his stand, Star Platinum. His grandpa, Joseph, tells Qtaro they must journey to Egypt and obtain holy water from a priest named Dio. Qtaro sends Dio a telegram telling him they would like to buy the Gamer Boy holy water. To aid them on the journey, Qtaro finds two companions to travel with him and his grandfather. Muhammad Avdal was a translator and guide for the group, who also happens to be Joseph's caretaker. Noriaki Kakyoin, a genius artist, was Qtaro's best friend, there to provide emotional support and keep records of their travels. With the team assembled, the Stardust Avengers set out, kicking off the main events in Part 3. Little does Qtaro know, this adventure will be one of the bizarre nature. The Crusaders didn't have much time since Holly's condition can get worse at any second, so they needed to act with haste. Qtaro suggested going by ship as it was the quickest and most scenic method of transportation available. Saving Holly was important, but so was enjoying the vacation and sightseeing. After all, Qtaro is a teenager and wants to explore the world. For their first destination, they made a stop in Hong Kong for the authentic Chinese cuisine and dim sum. That's when they met a homeless man who needed help. This homeless man, Polnareff, was a French detective stranded in Hong Kong after he lost his passport. He wanted to travel with the Crusaders to Egypt because that was where the nearest French embassy was. He offered to help the Crusaders on their journey, as well as a service they could not refuse. Polnareff was no ordinary Frenchman. He was a detective by day and a master baker by night. He bakes the meanest baguettes and croissants in all of France. Qtaro, being the nice kid he is, couldn't refuse to help Polnareff, so he lets them come along on the journey. However, it wasn't long before they ran into their first obstacle. Qtaro and the Crusaders board the ship and were back on their way to Egypt. Aboard the ship they're traveling on, Qtaro finds a young girl named Annie. It appears that she was being held against her will, and the captain is part of a human trafficking ring. Qtaro, being the righteous person that he is, decides to save her. Using the power of Star Platinum, he beats the captain up and destroys the ship afterwards. Everyone was praising Qtaro for his quick judgment, except for one person. Kakyoin, having been seasick since the beginning of the journey, had been extremely stressed. Combined with the events that just transpired, he was at his breaking point. Shortly after getting off the ship, Kakyoin claimed that Qtaro doesn't care about their friendship, and it seemed to be true. Qtaro didn't even remember that Kakyoin's favorite foods are cherries and donuts. To make it up to him, Qtaro agreed to travel by car for the rest of the journey. Avdal did not want to get involved in the drama, so he opted to stay behind and catch up later. Turns out, Avdal dodged a bullet by staying behind. Qtaro appointed Polnareff as a driver since he previously agreed to help out the Crusaders. But little did they know, he failed his driving test 3 times and was the worst driver of the group, even worse than Annie. Soon after, the Crusaders got into a car accident and Qtaro was nearly killed because of that. On the brink of death, Qtaro asked for the Crusaders to lend him their energy. Because the power of friendship was so strong, he was able to overcome death itself and continue the journey. Having gone through life and death, Qtaro wanted to rest for the day. They chose an old hotel at the local town. Qtaro almost witnessed an accident happening before he saved an old lady from tripping onto her scissors. It turns out that won't be the last time Qtaro helped someone in the town. Remembering Holly's words, Qtaro wanted to help out the townsfolk by helping them in any way possible. Qtaro hoped that by paying it forward, it would help with his mother's condition at home. After a good night's rest, Qtaro begins the day by helping a local man cross a river. The gap between the river was too great for the man to cross, so Qtaro uses his body as a bridge, allowing the man to walk over safely. The second good deed of the day was actually done for his fellow Crusaders. The crew was tired from traveling in the desert under the scorching sun. Qtaro told them a joke that made them forget about their fatigue, allowing them to carry onwards. In Kakyoin's records, it seemed that the joke was about this mad scientist who turns himself into a pickle. Funniest thing he's ever heard. And to end the day, Qtaro finds a lost baby and decides to take care of him until they found his parents. The Crusaders made sure he was well fed and even took him to an amusement park. But that shit ain't Disney though. Fortunately, Qtaro was able to find the parents and they left for Egypt soon afterwards. After completing the numerous good deeds, Qtaro was ready to arrive in Egypt. After all, they had spent a lot of time having fun and messing around. Avdol, now rejoining the party, brings his dog with him so that he wouldn't be home alone. After catching Avdol up to speed, it won't be long before they arrive at Dio's mansion. The thoughtful Qtaro made sure he looked presentable and professional, since his outfit was dirty from his travels. Realizing Japanese money doesn't work here, Qtaro decided to hit up the local casino for some clothing and travel funds. Qtaro's stan, Star Platinum, actually has a hidden ability that activates under specific conditions. It allows the user to be extremely lucky if his opponent changes his art style. Due to the conditions being met, Star Platinum was able to turn Qtaro's hand into the Double Dog Demi-Dog, which was the strongest hand under Egyptian gambling rules. He wins big in the gamble and secured the travel funds for the group. Using the rest of the money, Qtaro bought a new outfit, but turns out he wasn't a big fan. So Qtaro just decided to wear his old clothes. After all, his pants cost 200,000 yen. I'd be really upset if they ripped or if I had to throw them away too. Dio's mansion is now just in sight. It was super easy for the Crusaders to spot once they made it to Cairo. The mansion was the biggest and tallest building around, and it was located in the heart of the city. It was impossible to miss. However, what awaits them inside is truly a shock to them. Qtaro and the others were not aware that not only was Dio a priest, he is also a full-time content creator. He is always looking for new ways to make content in this content house. So when he got that telegram from Qtaro, he knew he could make a viral video out of it. His content is reminiscent of 2010 YouTube pranks, and his goal was to prank Qtaro the hardest. Poor Qtaro, he's such a sweet and innocent boy. He did not deserve any of this. And because it was a prank, Qtaro and his group was unaware that this was happening, which turned into prank gone wrong gone violent. So the crew enters the mansion and they are immediately separated into two groups. Qtaro, along with Joseph and Kakyoin, were put in the streaming room where they had to help Dio stream on Twitch, while Dio himself went to personally prank the other group. Qtaro's group had no issues with their prank because they were all epic gamers who purchased the Fortnite Battle Pass. Polnareff, however, got the special treatment. Dio used the stand, the world, to prank Polnareff. Using the world, Dio can stop time for a couple seconds and do whatever he wants. The cameras can't catch it, but what happens is, every time Polnareff tries to walk up some stairs, Dio stops time and carries him down the stairs before returning to his original position. After a couple hours of filming, Dio decided he's had enough of that, so he went outside to film a 2-in-1 vlog and prank special. He got a little silly when he got in the car and ran over a couple pedestrians, but it's just a prank, bro. Qtaro, on the other hand, is losing his patience. He just wants the gamer boy holy water to save his mother. He finally snapped when Dio ripped Qtaro's expensive designer pants. He decided he will embarrass Dio by beating him in a fight and uploading it to WorldStar. So the fight breaks out on the streets of Cairo, with Qtaro having the upper hand at the beginning, until Dio decides to pull knives out on a defenseless child. Qtaro outsmarts Dio by simply punching super fast to deflect the knives. Dio has had enough. He was going to take off his weighted clothing like Lee in Naruto so that he could defeat Qtaro. Without his clothes to hinder him, Dio unlocks his full potential and becomes Super Saiyan, gaining the upper hand in the fight. Qtaro, on the other hand, is heavily injured and about to lose any second. Dio takes it even further and throws a road roller at Qtaro. Again, it's just a prank, bro. But in the brink of time, Qtaro activates Requiem for Star Platinum. Star Platinum now becomes Ocean Man with a new ability that counters Dio's The Whirl. Qtaro activates Ocean Man's ability, No You, and simply wins the fight. This ability was so overpowered, Qtaro decided to never use it again. Having embarrassed Dio on the internet, Qtaro's job was done. He takes the holy water from Dio's basement and was ready to head home. Fortunately for the Crusaders, the airplane was just invented the night before, so they can fly home and not have to travel by ship. Qtaro says his goodbyes and flies home to save Holly, marking the end of Qtaro's bizarre adventure. He will always hold this adventure near and dear to his heart. Fond memories of traveling with his friends around the world was something he would never forget. This wraps up the story of Qtaro's youth. We'll be exploring Qtaro's adventures in Morio in a future video. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to smash that like button, share, comment, and most importantly, destroy that bell icon. So until next time, Wong Diggity out.